Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a full track using the Deluge and the MIDI hub together with only 4 notes on one track. Let's get started. Let me explain to you how I've set up the MIDI routing. The MIDI lab is directly connected over USB into the USB port of the Deluge. That means all MIDI notes and all control codes received here are automatically transmitted out the DIN MIDI port from the Deluge, which I've connected into MIDI A input on the MIDI hub. In turn, MIDI A output on the MIDI hub is connected to the MIDI input on the Deluge. The first thing we're going to do is look on the Deluge at the MIDI track, which I've set to MIDI track 16. It plays a very simple note sequence with a different alternate final note depending on the first or second time through, just for a little bit of variation. The other reason I chose the MIDI lab was because it has the pads, and I'm going to use these pads as toggle controls. I've configured them in Arturia's MIDI control center as control change toggles. So when I press one, it sends a CC value of 0 or 127, depending on whatever the controller number is, and I'm going to use that to selectively mute and unmute or enable and disable pipelines in the MIDI hub. This pipeline is going to be bypassed if I press this first pad here. As I said, I've configured these as control change toggles. So if I press it, it's going to bypass. Notes will come in from the Deluge on MIDI input A. And the first thing I do is only accept notes on channel 16. So if I press any of the keys here, they'll play on the Deluge, but they will be ignored by the MIDI hub because I don't want to create a MIDI loop. The other thing I want to filter out are any of the start, stop, continue messages. If you don't filter these out and you leave these boxes unticked, when you hit play here, the start message basically goes into a loop and the Deluge gets very, very unhappy. Normally when you use an arpeggiator module in a MIDI hub pipeline, you have to put a clock. An arpeggiator module needs a clock to be able to work. You'll notice in this preset here that there is no clock because we are already getting a clock message in from the Deluge because we are not filtering that out. So the Deluge is sending MIDI clock. That MIDI clock is going to be pulled in by the MIDI hub and used to clock the arpeggiator. The virtual port then sends into a channel filter, and the first arpeggiator is going to output on channel 1. We just sent it into a standard arpeggiator. I've added a little bit of humanization here. I'm going to randomize the note velocity, and if I randomize the note velocity a little bit, it just creates a little bit of variation. Now, here's one thing where the MIDI hub is really useful. The Deluge kind of is sensitive to high velocities on synths. I have found that if I have the velocity, MIDI note velocities too high, it will clip and you'll hit the internal clipping. So I tend to just limit the note velocity to between 30 and 70, which we can do quite nicely here. And then the one thing I make sure I want to filter out of this pipeline is clock. And why is that? The clock is coming in MIDI A, and if I send it back out output A and back into the Deluge, it's going to get a double clock. It'll be very unhappy, so let's filter out those clock messages. Okay, what's in preset 2? Well, all I've done is taken the pipeline we had previously and added an additional random module to it. And that random module is going to raise or lower the pitch of notes going through it by plus or minus 2 octaves. And what that gives you is a great glitchy effect. Now let's add in a lead. In this preset, I've added in a lead, and I've again done my bypass trick, so I'm able to selectively bypass pipelines. And this time the lead is going to output on MIDI channel 3. And so MIDI channel 3 corresponds to this Boards of Deluge patch here. link all the names down below for the various presets and patches I've used. And don't worry, this entire set of MIDI Hub presets will be uploaded onto Patch Storage, and I'll put the link down below. And now I can just selectively enable and disable arpeggiators to hear what it sounds like. What I did was I simply took the lead pipeline, duplicated it, did our little randomization trick on the pitch octaves there, so it actually now pitches that lead up and down, which creates a much higher pitched tone. I also added a delay in as well, so those notes are layering and getting delayed on top of each other. Last thing I've added in is a pad sound on the Deluge, so I've used this patch from the Sunriser pack, which I'll include a link to down below. And for the pad, I just add 2 additional notes at the 4th and 7th semitone for a minor chord effectively. I hope you found this video useful. Please don't forget to leave me questions or comments down below. Hit subscribe to stay in touch for more videos I'm going to be making using MIDI Hub and the Deluge and other pieces of gear in the coming weeks. Thanks for watching.